How's this? Okay. Hey guys, so if I sniff and or cough in the video, it's because of my cold. I have a cold that I cannot seem to kick. So yeah, but I wanted to make this video right now, right here, right now, nonetheless, because I just really gotta get this off my chest and I have a lot to say and share and I'm just gonna do it. And I wanted to make this video for a long time, and the other day I started some notes on my notes app just of things and ideas of what to say. So basically, and this is very controversial, and this is a stretch. That's not the right word. A stretch. What's the word I'm looking for? It's like, it's a risk. I'm taking a risk by talking openly about this because some people just really don't like talking about this. Controversy you want to avoid, and religion brings that out in people, brings out anger, frustration, and irritation in so many people around the world, and that can lead to war, not just arguments, but all-out war, and it's basically just faith, gospel, and belief. That's as simple as it is, as it should be, but it can blow up. And really, this is why I left the church. I left the church because of mind control, and just that, simply control. So I want to get into that. I have some thoughts. So this is on being Mormon, okay? And a little bit about the Mormons. So they're Christians. It's kind of like a square can be a rectangle, but a rectangle can't be a square. So not every Christian is a Mormon, but Mormons are Christians, okay? They claim that anyway. And we are going right.
That'd suck if we were not.
Okay, cool. So they believe in Christ. They believe in the Godhead, where there's God and Christ and also the Holy Ghost or the Holy Spirit, which brings about spiritual experiences and the Spirit through Christ and God. And aside from that, they believe in the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith. And those two things really pull from the traditional Christianity that there is. And there's the Bible. The Mormons also believe that there is this thing called the Book of Mormon that Joseph Smith brought to pass. So there's a whole thing about that. If you want to learn more, you can go to the internet. Me personally, everything I'm saying right now is from me and my brain and my overthinking and overanalyzing ways. This is not coming from research. I didn't have to do my homework on this. These are just thoughts that I feel inspired to believe. And I believe that the church is not true. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that. I want to phrase it right. I don't need to research to know that it's not true, okay? And I also believe that church is man-made. I do not think that God's church is on the earth today. I think that there are bits and pieces of truth here and there in each and every church that there is, except for ones that involve violence and cult-like behaviors. But I do think that there's a lot of truth and a lot of good to a lot of churches out there in the world, where you want to be a good person, you want to have spiritual experiences, you want to be guided, you want to be led and inspired and influenced for good. That's all beautiful to me, but the way that the Mormon church goes about it is completely wrong, okay? So, let me just make sure I get my thoughts straight. How church is man-made. I don't think God would put his church on the earth. I think he wants man to experience earth life in their own way and go by what they think, kind of. It's hard to explain, but why would God bring about his church, bring about truth? This is a test. I do agree with this, with what the Mormons believe. And I use the Mormons instead of like me. I don't say me or we anymore because I've detached myself from the church. I don't go anymore. I'm not a part of it anymore. But I don't know. I think they're right in they're saying that they are being tested on this earth, in this earth life. I do believe that. I do believe that that's true. I don't think that man knows how to handle the truth, though, and they claim that they do. They claim that it is a church of truth. But I don't think that God would trust us enough to handle his true church. I don't think we would do it right. We would corrupt it, and the church, the LDS church, is corrupted to me. Sorry for saying that. And if I say LDS and Mormon interchangeably, they're the same thing. Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is the same thing as the Mormon church. The Mormon church is just kind of like a nickname or a pet name for us. I said us, I'm not included anymore. Flopping my hands around like I'm angry. So weird. Okay, anyway. Mostly a nice group of people, but some are the worst and most judgmental people I've ever met. And that is so true. They have an aura about themselves, like their persona is very smiley, and some people quote look Mormon, like they have the look. And I hope and pray that I don't. I'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, I had to throw that out there. There's some of them are the worst people I've ever met. Just their interactions and how nosy they are, how they spread things and talk bad about people. They talk shit and they say things and do things. And it's just like, they be playing games, man. They be playing games with you. Strict upbringing, I would change in my car. So I really didn't start getting into fashion and beauty until I was in high school, like late high school, like my last 2 years of high school. So junior and senior year was when I started to change my car before I went into school. I would bring a change of clothes, like a cute shorter dress to wear that school day. And that just goes to show how strict the Mormon church is. Like, kneecaps got to be covered, shoulder caps got to be covered. And so many things are said as truth when really it's a preference, or it's what the old white man says girls got to do. And it is basically led by white old men. And I'll get into that too. But modesty is honesty. That's what they say. That's their little quote. Modest is hottest. Your modesty is honesty. And modesty, to me, it's personally not. It means you're not confident in your own skin. You're not comfortable to wear certain clothes. And I understand it to a degree if that's your preference. But the way that it's instilled and forced and ingrained in girls is like they got to be ashamed of their bodies. And I'll talk more about this too. But like the big day and the big night, the wedding night, you know, like yikes. Girls weren't prepared for that because they've been told their whole life to like hate themselves and their curves, basically. So there's that as well. So where my family is at with it now, let's see, let's get into this. My older brother and his family don't go anymore. I think he wants to, but his wife definitely doesn't. She doesn't want her kids a part of it anymore. She left the church earlier. My older sister, she doesn't go anymore. Her husband, same thing. They both don't go anymore. They're very, not openly anti, but I can tell. I've had conversations and I can tell that they really don't believe it's true. And then a younger brother and my other older sister, they both do go. One has a family, one is younger than me. He doesn't have a family yet, but I'm assuming he's going to carry on the tradition and keep the church in his life. So half of my family, me being the tiebreaker, me leaning towards not going anymore, now half of my family, more than half of us 5 kids, don't go to church anymore. And this right now is the time when people are not going to church anymore. People are stopping church. They don't want to be affiliated. They don't want to be involved. They don't want to be invested. Like, this is probably, if I had to guess, don't quote me again, I don't do the research on this stuff, but people are leaving the Mormon church like through the droves, if that's the phrase. Like, people are snapping out of things and waking up and realizing how interesting it is, for lack of a better word. Let's go to modesty and appearance and my earrings. So I don't want to look Mormon, but I live in Rexburg, which is a very Mormon town. A church school is here, BYU, Idaho. Brigham Young University, Idaho is a Mormon church school. And I don't want to look Mormon. The first thing I wanted to do when I moved into my apartment was pierce my ears. I'm like, okay, they do the one earring, that's all that's really allowed or preferred with them. Like, you can, but you get looks and you get judged. There are so many things. It's culture versus the doctrine. And the culture of the church is so obsessed with conservative appearance when the doctrine is like, be a good person, do this and this, like more broad in range. But it's unbelievable how specific they are in your appearance, the culture of it, like with the modesty of clothing and how you can't show skin and you just got to cover up and you just got to hide. And earrings, that was like one of the first things I did when I moved out. I was like, got to pierce these ears up all the way up. And I did. And I love the look. I think it's cute and fun and girly and different, and I don't really see this a lot. And the kids at the school definitely don't see it. I get questions in the classroom that I'm in right now, and like, I love my job and I love being a paraeducator and I love to work with the kids, but it's just so sad to me. This is so sad to me. These kids are asking about my earrings because they're Mormon and because they don't see that at church. They're not exposed to it. And I know exposure, you understand things more, you're exposed more, and they're just not used to seeing it, so they comment on it and they ask me about it. But it's just so stupid to me because it's just earrings and they act like it's so bad. Like, some of these kids are like, oh, Miss M, your ears are pierced. Like, whoa, like a lot. Like, did that take a long time? And it's a cute little phrase. Like, quote, did that take a long time? I've gotten that twice. Did that take a long time? Like, just trying to understand. But it's just, I'm trying to step away from their conservative appearance. Tattoos is next, but that's down the road. And I'm going to get talked about probably. I have to be careful about how I do it. But going back to the earrings really fast, I told my dad that this ear piercing hole has seemingly gone away. Like it's grown back in, it's healed itself. I took my earrings out all for 2 days. That was it. Just to have a break. I shouldn't have done it, I know. But I did. Oops. And my dad said, "Oh, I think it looks good. It's one less." I was like, he was basically hating on my earrings. But anyway, okay, let's get on to this. Let's see. Talked about my strict upbringing a little bit. A Mormon family is strict anyway, but my mom was all kinds of strict. I gotta do a video on that. Like, that needs its own thing. Brainwashing and mind control, claiming God says. I do think that there is the power of God on the earth through people. I think we all have the light of Christ in us. And as of now, I believe that there is some form of Christ, a being who died for all of us to be here right now at this point in this life. But that might change, who knows. I just know right now I'm not Mormon. But I don't know why it needs to be so one mind, one body, one church. Like, it's very much, you're Mormon and you're not you. Like, you are Mormon. You are not an individual. You don't have individualism about you. You're not individualistic. Like, that to me really, really bothers me. Just the strictness with appearance and belief system. Like, it's some interesting stuff. And the next few things I want to hit on, this is where the mind control comes in. But I will say, just let me throw it out there, family forever. I love the concept of that. Families can be together forever. You're with your family forever. You're sealed in the temple. But the thing is, they say if you're not sealed in the temple, you have one more chance in heaven, and then you can do that and make that choice. But they don't invite just anybody. They're very closed off. And you have to do certain things in order to get to that point. Lots of kids. Multiply and replenish the earth is a phrase that they use. And some people take it way too seriously when they have big-ass families. And I personally don't like the idea of a big family because it's unhealthy for them. Because if there's a big family, people feel left out, people don't feel as loved, people don't feel as supported. Like, it's easier with a smaller family, honestly. That's how I feel about it anyway. Like, there's more love to give each child. You have more time with them. So, there's that. Let's go to Joseph Smith. Okay, let's see what time we're at. Okay. Battery's okay, time is okay. Don't die on me, camera. So Joseph Smith, and this is where polygamy comes in. I think he was enlightened and inspired to an extent, like Christopher Columbus, or that's controversial too, though, completely. But I think certain people who have done certain big and beautiful and impactful things, I think that they are led by God, through God in a way. But I think they're human, their personality can corrupt other things. And that's with Joseph Smith, I think. And with polygamy, no, I don't think it was right. I do not. Basically, there was a time in the church, when they would have a man be married to multiple women at the same time, of different ages too, very young girls as well, included in some of these marriages, quote. So that's a little bit messed up. There's other things that Joseph Smith did too, but just the concept that he said a prayer in a beautiful grove of trees, and he saw God the Father, and he saw Christ as well, and he was inspired and led to bring about his church. So I think there's goodness to that, but there's too much corrupt in it for it to be worth it for me to keep going to church. So tithing, 10 bloody blasted percent. In this day and age, 10%, that is unheard of. That's unbelievable. We are tithed, or like taxed, 10% of our earnings, our income, to the church. And the church just sits on this. And I saw a post about this a while ago, but it was poking fun at how the church just sits on our money, isn't spending it, isn't doing anything to it, or with it, or for it. And it just sits and sits and sits in a big pile up. And it's just growing and growing, and it's not doing anything. And like, I want my money back. I stopped paying my tithing on and off the past few years, but like, you can't go into the temple, the big white beautiful buildings. You can't go in there if you're not a full tithe payer. And not a lot of people can pay tithing. If they believe in the Mormon church and they want to go to the temple, I think they deserve to pay the temple. What am I saying? They deserve to go into the temple. They deserve that right and the opportunity if they want it. They deserve it. They earn it simply by the desire to want to go. But they shouldn't be pushed or pulled away if they're not able to pay their tithing. That's sad to me. Church used to be 3 hours every week, every Sunday. That's another one. 3 hours. Now it's down to 2 hours. They changed it. Thankfully. Thank heavens. Because before it was tedious and time consuming and taxing and a lot of information thrown on you. And it's like we can only talk about the same things so many times, you know? So I'm glad that church is only 2 hours the past little bit. This goes back to my upbringing. I was fine for my church behavior. My brother Dakota and I are the youngest. I'm the fourth child of 5 kids, and he's the fifth. He's the last one. He's the baby. We would get fined for church behavior. Sorry, I just burped. If we were not friendly enough, polite enough, talkative enough, communicative enough at church, my mom would fine us after church. Like, okay, that's $10 because you weren't as friendly as I wanted you to be. I'm not going to say any more on that. I could say too many words on that, but I'll just leave it there. Baptism. Let's go to baptism. So sometimes in some churches, babies are confirmed or baptized, okay? And with us, and I say us, I'm not involved anymore, with the Mormon church, they're 8 years old. You can be 8 years old at the youngest to get baptized. And your full body has to go into the water. You're dumped into the water. And you come back out supposedly clean. I was baptized. I was baptized around the holiday when I was 8 years old. And I remember it was a big special day or so, I thought. And I still believe in that to an extent. Like, I believe in the Spirit and the Holy Ghost and how I got the Spirit that day. Like, I felt it more. I was more aware and in tune. But just the whole process of it is a little questionable to me. I don't know. I personally love the brain I've been blessed with. Or cursed with. It depends on how you see me. But spiritual experiences, and that's it. Like, I don't need the baptism or the temple sealing or anything. There's so many specifics to this church, and I can do without. You know, like, okay, let me just throw this out there right now. I've been in this apartment since October, and I've lived here. I live on my own. I pay for things myself. I'm a big girl now. This is the happiest and most contented I've ever felt in my whole entire life. And guess what's changed? Guess what's changed? I don't go to church anymore. Everything else is technically the same, my daily routine and my schedules and my planning and my day. But I'm not going to church anymore. And I feel a weight off my shoulders, and I don't feel a churning in my stomach anymore. Like, I'm feeling really free right now. Okay, a few more things. Okay. Yes, we're still doing good. Temple and wedding night. Okay, so the temple is a beautiful white building. And it's free. You don't have to pay for it to get married in there. And you just need to set an appointment and a date and everything. And it's a beautiful place to be. I will say they are stunning buildings inside and outside. They are amazing. You can do certain things on the inside, like ordinances as they call them. And I've heard some things about some things. I heard some things about some things. Words. I've been through the temple, through certain rooms and doing certain things, but I have not been through it all. I haven't walked through the temple completely, like seen everything. But I have heard from some people who don't go to church anymore that there's some weird stuff going on. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But temple marriages happen in the white buildings. And the wedding night is what I want to talk about. I've heard this from my counselor. She knows of people. I've heard this from my sister Haley. She knows of people. I've heard this through the internet. I know some people. And girls freak out on the night of the wedding night because they don't know what to expect. They're told they have to be modest their whole life. They wait until marriage. I did not wait until marriage. I lost my virginity in this. I was 17, almost 18, and I was a senior in high school. My parents knew about it. They found out. And since then, I've been with people. I'm not a virgin, and I don't want to wait until marriage. I want to know the person completely before, and I mean completely, like their body too. Sounds so perverted. But I just want to know them before I commit myself to them completely. So, soulmate, true love, the one, all the terms you want to use for that one and only person you have in your life. I don't believe that they're out there. I think anyone could marry anyone, anyone could live with anyone could be with anyone. Honestly, I think people are designed for love. I've heard that. I love that phrase, designed for love. But I think people can work with other people. They don't need that one person. And the church, divorce is on the rise in and out of the church. And it's just, you have less of a risk if you know the person fully and completely, in my opinion anyway. Usually their engagement is about 3 months long. That's kind of the culture of LDS people. They are engaged for 3 months, time to plan with the wedding, with everything. Gay marriage, they're very anti-gay marriage. I know Provo has had some stuff like that where gay students are trying to be heard. I think that's pretty cool. I just wish people would listen. I'm a person like, hey, if it's not affecting me, go right ahead, which sounds kind of bad, but it's just, to me, why care? Why bother? Like, if you want to be gay, if you want to be trans, if you want to do this and this and this, whatever. But I do think, I will say this much on that, this doesn't really apply to what I'm talking about, but if you're 18 years old, I think that's when you should trans if you want to, but that's a whole other thing. Priesthood and missions, let's talk about that. And I know I keep checking the time, like a hypochondriac almost. Okay. Priesthood, do girls have it? No, but if you're married to it, you get it. Because your spouse has the priesthood, the power of God given through man on earth. So, yeah. To me, it sounds like some kind of sorcery, like only the men have the powers, and the girls just get to kind of sit and hang out and make babies, kind of. But they're very much pro stay-at-home moms and housewife vibes, and the men get the priesthood, and the girls just don't. So, yeah, from young boys to old men, they have such a range in the things that they can do in the church with their priesthood power. And I do believe in priesthood power to an extent, but I think girls should have it too. It doesn't make sense that we don't have it. It seems so old school and medieval that we don't have it, like really. Blacks in the priesthood, women in the priesthood, those are the two things that really, really bother me. It was before, like, for the white man, and they said, oh, God hasn't told us yet that blacks can have it. What do you mean God hasn't told you that blacks can have it? Blacks can have whatever they want. Asians can have whatever they want. Any race can have whatever they want. We all deserve a say. We all have the same right. We all have the same say. And then missions. Both my brothers served a mission in the church, which just means they preach the gospel. They are assigned a place to preach the gospel in different parts of the world. My brother Montana went to Honduras, to Tegucigalpa. My brother Dakota went to South Africa. And the girls in our family haven't gone. The girls, it's more optional for us to go, but guys, it's more expected, even mandatory for them to go. And I don't like the idea of that. I think the stress on guys is too high enough with the priesthood power thing. And just the push to go on a mission with health problems and other challenges in life, it doesn't make sense. Plus expense too. That's another thing. Church school. I went to a church school because of my family, for the sake of my family for the most part. That's why I really went to BYU, Idaho. It's a cheap place to go. It's ultimately pretty safe. I hated my college days because I'm very introverted and I can be shy and I have social anxiety, so I did not enjoy my time here really. But it was the best college that I could have gone to for affordability's sake, and it also allowed me to live at home because my parents lived close to the campus. So that was kind of my story with that. But church schools, like, there's problems here too. Every school has rape to it, and rape problems and assault problems, and you just hear things every semester that things have happened, and that's very sad, breaks my heart. But I think if people would just open up more about the church, things would be talked about more. Girls would be more respected, I think. I don't think the girls are as respected in the church because of these things, because of modesty, and they're told to cover up, and they don't know how to handle themselves and their bodies and take care of their bodies. They don't even know that they're allowed to have sex on their wedding night, and so they're calling up their mom like, Mom, my boyfriend, fiance, husband, he's taking off his clothes, and am I supposed to do that too? That's a thing. Girls call their moms. Mormon girls call their moms on their wedding night. I've heard that that's a thing. Isn't that crazy? That shit crazy to me. So, yeah, I talked about brainwashing, cult-like in nature, claims agency, there is none. Yeah, this is a church of agency. Wait until marriage, don't have sex. Do not drink or smoke. Do not, do not, do not. So many do nots. If you do these things, people call you out for it, you're talked about, you might get in trouble, you might be excommunicated. Excommunicated means they take you off the records of the church and they say, avoid this person, essentially. That's basically how it goes. But living in Mormonville, as I call it, Mormonville, Rexburg, I don't think this will be my long-term place. This is temporary as of now. This is my plan as of now, for now. But I'll see what happens and where life takes me. It's an interesting place to be. Like, Mormons and I'm just like scanning to make sure that I talked about everything. Mormons are so confusing. Mormons are so confusing because they act nice, but I don't know their intentions. Because I've been in the church and because I've had to be fake and phony with so many of them, like pretending to enjoy church because I had to go to church under my parents' roof for so long, you know. Anyway, I just, let me see what time we're at. Yeah, I'll wrap up here in just a second and I'll charge you, little camera. But I don't know, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. I really don't like church. It has brought me so much pain over so many years over my life. And it's a perfectionistic type of church, and as a perfectionist, I can't handle that. Like, it's always like, do better, you got this, you're okay, just keep going. One day you'll be perfect in the next life. And I'm just like, I'm never gonna strive hard enough, do well enough, be good enough, you know. It's just, I hate church. If I were Muslim, if I were Baptist, if I were Catholic, whatever, I would probably hate it just the same. I'm not just anti-Mormon. I'm not anti-Mormon, but I'm not for it, you know. But I don't know. I just wish that there were a place where there was no church ever. Because I think it pulls people apart and adds so much stress. Like, people don't want to leave the church for the sake of their family, and that was really hard for me to do because I was like, I don't want to go just for you, just for my mommy and daddy. But I can't go anymore for me, you know. So I hope I touched on enough and said enough with my little points there. But that's the gist of it. The gist of it is the doctrine and the people being so biased and judgmental, and the strictness on appearance and daily activities. Daily activities as in like everyday things that you wouldn't even really bat an eyelash about, like if you want to drink or something, you know. So yeah, it's not all bad, but because there is bad to it, too much of it that I cannot ignore anymore, I can't go anymore. So that's what I wanted to say. Yeah.